Welcome to episode 2 of the All Average Wrestling Show. Once again, I am your host, Brandon B.T. Taylor. Before I really get into some things, I want to address the future of the Six-Sided Ring show that me, Patrick, and Bobby did. That show is over. That show's officially came to a close. It was just schedule related for all of us at the end of the day. So, I mean, it is what it is. We weren't really consistent at all. I mean, look at me, I was supposed to record for NXT over a week ago and never did because the stuff was in the way. So it is what it is. Move on. Good about it. Six-Sided Ring episode 1 was it. A lot of people liked it. I watched it live off on Facebook. And yeah, so that's where we're at. That's the update on the Six-Sided Ring. And now on to NXT here. The NXT Heatwave show. I was gonna review it. I watched the show. There really wasn't anything noteworthy to come out of it, and it was just okay, whatever. Then you had Clash in Paris last weekend. Outside of really the last two matches, nothing to really come out of that event either. Paul and Cena was a great match, and then the Fatal 4-Way main event led into what happened last night on SmackDown, which was the return after 10 years of AJ Lee. Say what you will, and I don't like the discourse I'm seeing on X between, and I'll say it, the AEW sickos, that AJ Lee wasn't shit, she was overrated, this, that, and the third. This was probably the greatest return for women's wrestling, at least in the modern era. I mean, you'd have to really go back and think about all time, but it's definitely up there. And AJ was one of the last big returns left with WWE. There's only really two others, three if you want to count Bryan, but I don't think Bryan ever gonna wrestle in WWE ever again. There's really only two returns left that maybe you could pull off. One I don't think is ever gonna happen, and that's Jon Moxley. Don't see him ever leaving AEW. And the other is Mercedes Moné, who I think is going to leave AEW once her contract's up. So AJ's return will now lead into Punk and AJ versus Becky and Rollins at WrestlePalooza, or as Brock says it, WrestlePalooza. Yeah, it's that card. What a card that's going to end up looking like right now. You have Brock Cena. You're going to have Stephanie versus Io. AJ and Punk versus Becky and Rollins. You were likely going to have Cody versus Drew, I think. Because I don't know why you're doing Drew versus Orton at SmackDown next week if you're not leading into Cody's return. So that's hell of a card. The question is who main events? Because aside from Io and Stephanie's match, those three matches, Brock Cena, the mixed tag match, and Cody Drew, they're all main event. They could all easily main event. I think they're probably going to go with Cena Brock just because it's Cena's retirement tour and Brock's first match back since the Cody SummerSlam match, which was like 2 years ago. Probably lean towards that. The night will probably, I'm guessing, going to be kicked off with Cody and Drew. And then somewhere in the middle, you're going to get AJ Lee, Punk versus Becky and Rollins. With AJ's return, it's a multi-year deal, it looks like. 'Cause obviously, you're going to get her and Becky 101 at some point. I feel like you're going to do Roxanne versus AJ at one point. Some point, not one point. The Rhea match, you're going to do Bayley. Bayley will probably end up being a Mania match, for being honest. So there's a lot you could do with AJ Lee. The question is she back on like a full-time basis like Punk is? Or is AJ just going to be part-time? Which could really go either way. Because I don't know if they have, I don't think they have so far under the Triple H regime brought in anyone that's part-time. I mean, Jericho might end up being the first if he ends up going back to WWE, which all signs are pointing towards he will likely be back sometime next year in WWE, unless Tony Khan throws a shit ton of money at him, which is also possible. But yeah, they haven't really signed anyone to be part-time since Triple H took over after Vince's fake retirement back in 22, back in 22. So it's gonna be interesting what you do with AJ Lee going forward, especially after this um her involvement in the Becky and Rollins feud. Becky and Rollins. Punk and Rollins feud. And I'm here for it. I think AJ is a top 10 at worst women's wrestler of all time. I've always thought that. I think her impact of the women's revolution, the hashtag give divas a chance, is way understated by a lot of people all time. I think she had a bigger impact on the women's division as a whole than anyone from Total Divas, which includes the Bellas, Natalia, et cetera, et cetera. And that's not really a shot at them. It's just some of the shit they were doing, the Total Divas stuff, it wasn't. Like, it did nothing to move women's wrestling forward. AJ and Caitlyn at one point, they were literally two of the best in that reign. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Those two were two of the best in that division at one point. And you could tell it was something completely different when those two feuded. Like it was back when Punk and Bryan feuded in WWE. Okay, there's something different. This isn't like your normal WWE main event caliber feud here. Because there were two guys that could go. And AJ was one of them who could just go. She's probably not probably, she is the best of her era, which is that 2010-ish to 2015, like right before Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha all came up. She's easily the best of that era, and there probably isn't a close second. So I'm looking forward for AJ Lee's return. Speaking of things to look forward to, John Cena's final match was officially announced for December 13th, and all signs point towards Washington, D.C., which means his final match will not take place in Boston, which is what everyone thought heading into the year. It's not going to take place at Madison Square Garden, which would be somewhat poetic. Won his first championship at MSG. It's not going to take place in London, which is a place Cena loves to wrestle in. Tampa, where he lives. I don't know if he still lives there, but he lived in Tampa for a hot minute. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. And get used to it. That's just the era 2K. Not 2K, TKO. And that is, it doesn't matter what it is, they're just going to go to the highest bidder. So get ready. I'm surprised Saudi Arabia wasn't even in this. I don't get how you could do Goldberg right by having his final match in Georgia, even though Goldberg thinks he was done wrong. And then when it comes to Cena, you couldn't figure anything out with the city of Boston. You got to go and do it in Washington, D.C. I mean, nonetheless, I am looking forward to seeing his final match. It is very interesting to see who they pick as the opponent. Last we heard, it was rumored that it was going to be Gunther. But I don't know. Last night was his last SmackDown appearance. He wrestled Sami Zayn. Brock came out, attacked the both of them, really fucked Cena up. Two F5s. So, yeah, you got that. Now you move Cena to Raw. I assuming you're doing the Brock match once, if Brock's going to continue to appear on SmackDown. Because I'm assuming Brock is now on the SmackDown side going forward. So his feuds would be over there. Or maybe they move him over to Raw during this feud. But you got Cena on Raw going forward. I assume his final matches, he's going to do WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis. I assume he's wrestling on the Australia show at the end of October, Crown Jewel. I have a hard time believing he's not going to wrestle one more time at MSG or in Boston. I don't think he's wrestling in Springfield in 2 weeks. And I think he does War Games, and then he got his final match. My guess is he's going to end up feuding with Rollins and crew to finish it off. And then his final match, God knows who would end up being. I honestly, if it's ended up being Gunther, I won't be disappointed. My preference for Cena's last match is Braun Breaker because I think it'll do so much for him. And it would really expand Rollins' crew going forward if Breaker's now known as the guy who ended John Cena's career and beat them. That would be huge for them. Because make no mistakes about it, Ron Breakker is going to be the breakout of that group. Ron Breakker is going to be the guy that win the world title at some point. I wouldn't be shocked if it's at next year's Mania over Seth Rollins, because I don't see Seth Rollins dropping the World Heavyweight Championship between now and WrestleMania. So that's my Cena thoughts right there. I want to move towards AEW here. And they just hit their record low ratings. And it was under 500,000 this past week, or it was about 500,000. I'd have to honestly look, but it was really bad. People need to stop sticking their head in the sand. Something with AEW and what they are doing is not working. Now they deliver on pay-per-views. They are the pay-per-view kings of wrestling. No one denies. Their in-ring matches are always good. They're great. Match of the year candidates. There's at least one every pay-per-view they have. But in the American wrestling market, you gotta have more than just great matches. Well, they tell stories. They do tell stories. It's just not good ones. There has to be something they can do to really bring a lot of fans back. And as much as people don't want to admit it, they never truly got over Brawl Out at the end of the day. The feeling has never been really restored. And they just lost Osprey, probably for a year plus. They're going to lose Swerve probably till the end of the year. Kenny Omega's getting ridden up, and Hangman Page is world champion. I'm happy he won it all out. Not all out, all in, but what do you do? What are you doing with him? Because right now, this world title reign, it's just mess so far. And I thought his first reign was very underrated by a lot of people. This one's it's just there. We're 2 weeks out from All Out. He doesn't even have a match yet. The only matches announced for All Out are Cope and Christian versus FTR, which I hope is Cope's retirement match, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. Mercedes versus Riho, where Riho hasn't wrestled in a year plus and is magically getting a TBS championship match. The Hurt Syndicate versus Gates of Agony and Ricochet is the other one. And then there may be one more, but there's not. We're 2 weeks out from a card. Your world champion doesn't have a set match. Your TNT champion doesn't have really a set match. Your tag champs don't really have a set match. It does look like they're going Thekla versus Tony Storm, but then you had Jamie Hayter return at Forbidden Door, which I brought up. It felt more like a makeup for last year. And what are you doing? What are we doing in AEW right now? Seriously, it feels like we're throwing darts at a wall. And we're trying to, and whatever the fuck it lands on, that's what we're going with right now. There are, honest to God, only two properly built matches heading into All Out right now, and that's Cope and Christian versus FTR and Hurt Syndicate versus Ricochet and Gates of Agony. Mercedes and Rio is not properly built. All Rio did was show up and she got a title match. They're going to do Hangman versus probably someone from the Don Callis family. I hope it's Takeshita, which that should be a great match. But it's not clear it's going to be Takeshita. It may end up being Kyle Fletcher for some reason. We don't know what, I just don't get it with AEW right now. Because they had so much momentum getting out of All In. The build to All In was amazing. It was their best stretch of television they had in a very long time. And then since All In, it's been downhill. You had, right before Forbidden Door, you had MJF trying to set someone on fire. Where's the fucking logic in that? You had to legitimately exchange the Casino Gauntlet cash-in contract to a week heads up because you completely bungled the whole fucking thing. What are we doing? And then on top, let's go to the Max thing here. That's a lost deal. And I'm not meaning by, they're going to lose it or it's yada yada. It's not a good deal for fans. And if you're in the Elite Wrestling Society Facebook group, I suggest you to join. I was on it from the jump. I said, I'm going to wait until the Max thing gets fully detailed before judging this deal. But on face value, it does not look like a good deal for the fans. because I don't care about the amount of money AEW gets from a TV deal. I don't care, just like I don't care about what WWE gets. I care about how it benefits me as a fan. How does it benefit me as the fan, as a consumer of your product? Okay, I don't care how many millions you're making from the TV deal. I don't even really care how many people you have in attendance. How does your new media rights deal benefit me as the consumer? We all sat there and celebrated, oh, they're going to be on Max. You're paying more to get it on Max than you would if you just got a VPN, set in some random international country, got it off Triller TV, or got it off Amazon Prime in the US, or just bought I think they still do regular pay-per-view? Hell, it may be even cheaper just to go to the movie theaters and do it, or go to Dave and Buster's and just watch it for free there, if they're even showing it. This Max deal is not fan friendly. I get why they're still in the pay-per-view model. My opinion, I think the pay-per-view model has died. It's been dying. It's officially dead. The UFC going from pay-per-views to now everything's going to be free, which is great for me as a fan of the UFC. WWE left the pay-per-view market. Loxon is starting to leave the pay-per-view market. AEW in the PFL, and in a very occasional big boxing event, which is usually on DAZN, are the only ones really in that combat sports pro wrestling bubble that's still in the pay-per-view market, and it's not working. TNA too, but it's just not working. The pay-per-view model is dead. And I get why AEW still has it, because they make that's a good chunk of revenue for them. But you're not bringing in any new fans. They haven't brought in any new fans. If anything, they've lost fans. So how is this Warner Bros. Discovery deal and this pay-per-views on HBO Max deal benefit me, the fan? Okay, I can watch AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision on Max now. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. If you don't have some sort of cable or streaming TV provider like YouTube TV or Hulu. But like that doesn't really do anything. And I seriously doubt 300,000 people are watching Dynamite on fucking Max. I wait, so I'll bring up what I do. I don't watch AEW live. I haven't watched AEW live since the since the Dynamite after Double or Nothing. I go and I watch it on Max the next day. Okay. And because it's now under my like stuff I watch, it's easier for me to find AEW Dynamite and AEW shows than it was when it first came on, where you had to actively, legitimately search for it. So the TV viewership's down. Optically, it does look bad. They're going from sold out arenas, sold out O2 Arena to the ECW Arena. The Max deal's a joke. The discount's $10 on top of subscribing to Max. It is not a consumer win. And for fans sitting there celebrating, oh, they got a great deal. This is great for everyone. It's not a good deal. It's not. It's a great deal for Warner Bros. Discovery. They bent them over in this negotiation. And I would not be shocked if Warner Bros. Discovery, Warner Bros. Discovery is not going to opt out next year or 2 years, whatever the hell their opt out is. They're just not going to, because they can sit there and pay AEW a legitimate fraction of what NBC, Netflix, ESPN is paying WWE for their shows, and get literally the whole AEW library, get their pay-per-views, etc., etc. This is not a good deal for consumers. I don't know how I'm going to keep harping on this. It's not a good deal. And then last week, we had Tony Khan announce, well, it doesn't make any sense to get ROH a TV deal if it doesn't line up with Warner Bros. Discovery. Okay, so now you're flat out not doing anything in benefit of the ROH brand, specifically because you want it to be under the Warner Bros. Discovery umbrella, which they have already told you they don't want Ring of Honor. You had a deal with the CW network. They wanted Ring of Honor. Before WWE or NXT even came onto the table, They looked at you and they looked at NWA, and you passed. And because of why you passed, you sat there and said, because I am not negotiating any Ring of Honor TV deal until AEW is settled. Ring of Honor is not a priority to Tony Khan. And I'm happy for a lot of people that were able to watch Death Before Dishonor last weekend on YouTube because the Honor Club app shit the fucking bed. Great showcase. Bandito's match is easily one of the matches of the year. I think he 100% wrapped up Wrestler of the Year conversations last weekend. Because no one from WWE is broken out. No one from New Japan is broken out. CML, no one's really broken out. AAA, et cetera, no one's really broken out except for Takeshita and Bandito. I think Bandito clinched it last week. But back to Ring of Honor here. So you wouldn't negotiate a TV deal until AEW's got settled. And now you're telling me you're not going, it doesn't make sense for Ring of Honor to be on anything other than fucking Honor Club? Which the app just shit the bed last week? What are we doing, TK? The neglection of Ring of Honor is becoming a joke. Yes, I'm happy you saved the brand. Happy you saved Ring of Honor when it was clearly about to go out of business. But what have you done to truly help it? If anything, the brand of Ring of Honor has gone downhill. The stock of Ring of Honor has gone downhill to a point it is now a shell of what it used to be. You're not really running consistent shows. You can't do Ring of Honor outside of any residency you're doing with AEW. You tried to do it in New Jersey. You couldn't sell tickets out there. You had to cancel it and move it to All in Texas, where you already had fans there. So is every Ring of Honor pay-per-view going forward has to be attached to an AEW residency now? Yeah, it has to be, because you've done nothing to legitimately grow the brand. Nothing. Cena has been champion for 1,000 days. That should be celebrated. I seriously doubt most wrestling fans have seen more than 10 fucking matches of her defending that fucking championship. Because it is somewhat impossible to watch Ring of Honor unless you are subscribed to the Honor Club, which is not a good app. And a lot of wrestling fans are not subscribed to Honor Club. Bandito is the wrestler of the year right now, in my eyes. His insane match with Takeshita. You had to upload it on YouTube, and that's the only way people have seen it so far. His match he just had last weekend. If the entire card didn't shit the bed, not the entire card, the app didn't shit the bed, a lot of people wouldn't have seen that. Wouldn't have seen his match with the Worlds Collide. Not the Worlds Collide, the Global Wars they did in Mexico when they were down in Arena Mexico. A lot of people wouldn't have seen that either. So looking at Ring of Honor and AEW, what have they done to really benefit us, the consumer? Fans are no longer watching Dynamite consistently. The US Open did not take away from AEW's fucking ratings. Give me a break on that one. I don't know any wrestling fan that legitimately watches fucking tennis, okay? I'd understand if it was like a major baseball game or football was magically on a Wednesday, or the UFC or like WWE had a big card magically on a Wednesday. I'd get that. But every week, every time it's a bad rating, it's always fucking something. Juneteenth, I think it was last year, they blamed Kendrick Lamar. I'm in the US Open. I saw the Little League World Series got blamed earlier this summer for why their rating was down. It's a very disingenuous argument. We are sticking our head in the sand right now when it comes to AEW. Why are they losing people? Why is what they're doing not connecting to people? They have not recovered from Brawl Out. Brawl In didn't help either. Showing the video, the CM Punk video, was one of the dumbest decisions we have seen this decade right now. We are half a decade in. It is the dumbest decision we have seen from any wrestling promotion right now. And they have not recovered from that either. So you're barely hitting 500,000. Collision's on a terrible night, which I believe they will switch Collision off of Saturdays at some point, and they will move Collision to Thursdays. But like, there's nothing AEW/ROH does that benefits us, the consumer. There's nothing. You can't name it. And if we want to go strictly on screen here, okay, Your world title picture is kind of a clusterfuck right now. Your tag division is literally a bunch of makeshift tag teams right now. Your trios division shouldn't even be a thing. Your women's division, you have fed everyone to Tony Storm or Mercedes Moné to a point no one can really break out at this point, which is why they're talking about tag team titles for the women's division. Because they gotta rebuild everyone. The TNT Championship, Kyle Fletcher's doing okay. Not gonna knock him on that one. And then Okada as the undisputed unified champion, I think it's called. He's doing okay. There's really there's this all out build up has not been good. And yes, it's been 2 weeks. It hasn't been good. This hasn't been good. They're gonna announce Darby versus Mox at some point, I'm guessing, for All Out. So that's another match that's been legitimately built up. So only 3 matches out of 4. It's really frustrating if you're an AEW fan. It's extremely frustrating if you're a Ring of Honor fan. What is TK doing? What is he doing? I don't get it with him anymore. And the AEW fan base, the sickos, you're not helping. You're not helping because you guys have the loudest voice. You're the only fan base. That fan base, the sicko fan base, is who TK will listen to. And you fuckers stick your head in the sand and ignore anything that's negative. And when it's time to talk about something that's negative or not good with AEW, it's, well, enjoy all wrestling. You don't care about all wrestling. Let's stop. Let's stop with that. It's not enjoy all wrestling. It's only enjoy all wrestling when it comes to AEW. Because if WWE sucked right now, which they have for most of the year, let's not ignore that. They had their 2 major stories going into WrestleMania and out of WrestleMania were both colossal fails, and that was Cena's heel turn and Jey Uso's main event push. We're both failing. It's just not something's not working with AEW, and they got to figure out what the hell it is because people are not watching anymore like they used to. I'm sure the live crowds there, the small crowds, which I'm happy they went back to. Don't get me wrong, they're lively. It makes the show better from a sound standpoint, but it's why? Why is this company going backwards? Is it truly all creative? Is what they're doing not appealing to the mass audience? Did they really alienate a good majority of their fan base with the CM Punk stuff? It could be a combination of all that, or it could be something completely different. But why is AEW going backwards? I'll let you answer that for me. Explain to me why AEW is going backwards. And explain to me why Ring of Honor is not a fucking priority. I had someone on X flat out sit there and say, well, why would they show it for free? Why would they move their stuff for free? If you're not going to why make a deal just to make a deal? If you're not making money, you'd think Ring of Honor is making money right now? If AEW is not profitable right now, Ring of Honor sure as fuck isn't profitable right now. They are definitely not making money off of Ring of Honor. And the only reason Ring of Honor, in my opinion, is continuing is because TK doesn't want to be like WWE, where they buy a promotion and that promotion is just gone. They bought them for the video library. Really just doesn't. Something with AEW is not working. They got 3 months to really figure it out for the end of the year. Because I see a lot of people like, well, Tony Khan's Booker of the Year. He's not. He's not. He might be by literally default because I don't think anyone's truly had a good year when it comes to booking. I think every promotion so far has had a major up and a major down. All of them have. Most of AEW's weekly shows this week have been fucking terrible. They had a good stretch before All In, and then the AEW Boston show they had, which was insane, probably top 5 Dynamite of all time, are the only good ones they've had this year. So before I truly wrap this up, because I've rambled for about 37 minutes here, I want to hit on NXT here. And I saw someone post, I think this was in the Elite Wrestling Society Facebook group. NXT has 3 camps here. It's either the people who are ready to move up, but they have no room for them, which would be Trick, Oba, Jordan Grace, Ricky Saints, like that group. Those that are on NXT that actually need it, but they aren't clicking or whatever it is, which is NXT developmental. They need NXT. and those who aren't even ready to be on TV, which is TMS, some others I gotta really think. I'd honestly throw Hank and Tank on there. I don't think they're that good. But they gotta figure something out because there's a lot of people within NXT right now that should have been moved up by now that aren't, and I think it's really hurting the growth of the program and the shows right now. Jordan Grace, Blake Morrow feud, fine, that's whatever. You can ignore that. JC Jane probably should have been up in the main roster by now. Oba Femi should be up by now. Trick should be up by now. Wesley sure as hell should be up by now. They've completely ruined Wesley by turning him heel. That has not worked. He's one I'm scared that may not make it to the main. Yeah, he may not make it to the main roster. Andre Chase should be up by now. Tony D'Angelo's still missing. It's the NXT right now because last year they were. I think far and away, Shawn Michaels was the Booker of the Year last year. NXT absolutely killed it last year. This has not been a good year for them. And I get it, it's developmental. Like, you can't really judge a developmental program the same as you would a Raw, a SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision. Like, you can't. And I get it, but doesn't mean it has to be terrible television. There's a lot of weeks in NXT, like, you turn on for the first hour, and you gotta turn it off because it's just unwatchable. And they have evolved to really get the people that you wanna see how they do on TV before you actually send them to NXT. And you can see how they do there. We don't need like Tyra May Steele. I think she has a shit ton of potential. I honestly believe the only reason she won LFG was because they wanted a return on that investment. Because she was not the best female on that show. Wasn't even close. And she's not clicking with the NXT crowd. And it's not like, well, they should turn her heel, that'll work. No, it's they don't care about her. And that's a problem. They've done nothing for me to care about Tyra May Steele. Why should I care about Tyra May Steele? They've never given me a reason to. They gave me a reason to care about Sol Ruka. They gave me a reason to care about Zarya, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dane, JC Jane, Fallon Henley. They gave me a reason to care about them. They have not given me a reason to care about Tyra May Steele, and we wasted a pay-per-view spot trying to showcase her, and it didn't work because the crowd did not fuck with her. They cheered for the heels the whole time. Mainly Chelsea Green. They got to do a better job in getting us to care about certain stars. Because how many people, honestly, in NXT right now do who they are pushing on TV that people generally care about? There's not a lot. There's not a lot. I can name a few literally right off the bat. Miles Bourne is 50-50 with the crowd. Tavion Heights, really 50-50, and I like Tavion Heights. I think he has a shit ton of potential. But 50-50. Yeah, that's like two examples right off the bat. I throw in Andre Chase and Chase U right now. Why do people? Does no one really? What reason do we care about Uriah Connors and Cale Dixon? They've done nothing to get us to care about them. And is that a lot of that because they have a lot of spots being filled up by guys who should be on the main roster right now, like Trick and Oba and Ricky Saints and Jordan Grace, and I throw in Blake Monroe because I think she should be up in the main roster because like she's clearly ready, but she's probably gonna be down there for another year. So it's like, what is there to care about in NXT? The most over act right now in NXT is Ethan Page's pro Canadian gimmick, which is great. But Ethan Page should be up on the main roster already. Like he's progressed past NXT. There has to be something for those that are ready to move up rather than just having them stick out in NXT. Because it feels like we're starting to run into the same issue that we did when it was clearly time for the Undisputed Era and DIY to move up in NXT from NXT. And they just didn't. So I lied that I thought NXT was going to be the last thing, but there's something that popped in my head here. And I'm going to leave it with this question for a lot of you. Does AEW have a limit marketable superstar right now? I know the answer should be MJF, but no one that watched Happy Gilmore 2 sat there and was like, wow, the Suns did a great job. They were vaguely in the movie. if you watched it. It's not like they were in the entire time. It was mainly about the daughter more than it was about the sons. So do they have that? And is that a big reason why they're lacking? There's no one really people care about. Who knows? I could be completely wrong. I could be sounding completely delusional here. But is there a major star like that clear as day? Hey, we know who that guy is. He wrestles for AEW. Well, what's AEW? Let me go check it out. I don't think there is one. And it should be MJF. It could be MJF. I could be completely delusional here. Just something for you to think about. Okay, next time I'll be live with the All Average Wrestling Show will be after WrestlePalooza. WrestlePalooza All Out Day. So that's 2 weeks from now. Because what's there? I mean, unless there's something that's like truly worth talking about next week, then I'll come and record then. But it feels pretty safe after WrestlePalooza. I'll probably do a pre-show, not pre-show, yeah, prediction show for WrestlePalooza in 2 weeks before then. So there's that. Once again, if you missed the beginning of the show or just didn't feel like listening to the beginning of the show, Six-Sided Ring is over. The show was canceled. Shots Fired started last week on Saturday morning. We'll be back today, now recording today. LJ and Sean will not be on the show. It will be ran pretty much by me. I don't know who else really going to be on the show, but yeah. The most average of college football fans is going to be running a college football oriented show this morning. Wild. So, once again, if you're on Facebook, go and join the Elite Wrestling Society Facebook group. Go join the University of Sports Great Debate Facebook group. Like the Main Event Hub on our socials on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, even Twitch. And I will be back in hopefully about a week for the WrestlePalooza prediction show. And maybe I'll have some other stuff coming down the pipe, maybe a co-host here or there. Who the fuck knows? Maybe I'll even do a live show recording of this. But till then, adios, and I'll see you next time.